Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chef Tad Chapman. Welcome to my home. Today we're doing another segment of Dine-N-Wine with Château Camou. Our wine of the day is a Château Camou Umbral white blend. It's a combination of Chardonnay and Chenin Blanc from the northern Valle de Guadalupe in Baja California, Mexico. It's a beautiful wine, crisp, tropical notes. We're going to try it right now. Of course, you see the bottle's been opened already. I tried it earlier, and we've designed a dish that we think will pair beautifully with this wine. And I think we've got it on. So today we're going to be making a butternut squash gnocchi with a sage and habanero cream sauce. So right now we'll start with the gnocchis. What we have here, and I've already prepared it. So the gnocchi, or the butternut squash, we've roasted off, and then we've tried to get all the excess liquid out of it. More liquid, and you're going to need more flour for your gnocchi, and you're going to reduce a little bit the flavor. So we have 2 cups of our puree. We're going to start with 2 eggs. As I say, all the liquids into the pot. We've got a teaspoon of salt. I'm using Himalayan pink salt here. 3/4 of a teaspoon of nutmeg, ground nutmeg, and 1/2 cup of powdered Parmesan cheese. So we'll start that and get that all incorporated. Once we get the flour into here, we want to mix it as least as possible. Today, we're going to be making it with a gluten-free flour. So we have a 1-to-1. You can use the Bob's Red Mill 1-to-1, or there's another product that's put out by Chef Thomas Keller, and it works pretty much the same. If you want, of course, you don't have to make this gluten-free. You can use your regular all-purpose flour. So our liquids are incorporated, and we're going to add our flour little by little. So we want to get this well incorporated, but no more mixing than that. You'll notice at the end, it's going to be sticky. So we're going to need a little bit more flour to roll out our gnocchi and to form it. And it's going to stick to your hands. It's just something that we have to deal with this. Again, if you have too much liquid in your sweet potato or your butternut squash, then you're going to need a lot more flour, and the flavor is not going to be quite the same. So this recipe here should make 4 to 5 good portions of the gnocchi. So good for your family of 4, maybe with a little left over. And it works well with other sauces too. So it's, my daughter, for example, loves it with a pomodoro sauce. She's not a huge fan of the cream, especially with the habanero, or the sage for that matter. So, as you can see, it's still quite sticky, but we have it well incorporated. So, at this point, I think I could add a tiny bit more flour, which I'm going to do. And then I think we should be good to go with the gnocchi. So I got a little bit more flour into it. And I just don't want it to be overly sticky. Now the gnocchi is just starting to pull away from the bowl, and I think we should be good here. Okay. So we're ready to roll out a few portions of gnocchi here. Let me get rid of this. We're going to dust our pan with a little bit of the flour so it doesn't stick. And same with our working space. I'll get a little bit of our gnocchi mixture, our batter. Now we're just going to form it with our hands. Get it coated. If it doesn't respond that well, you can let it rest for a few minutes too. But it seems to be working fairly well, especially since there's no gluten in this flour. It's seems to work fairly well. Again, the idea isn't here to have it as perfect little uniform gnocchis. This is a rustic idea and it's home, so. Now I'm just going to cut them out and then we'll go to the stove. And see you back in a few minutes. Welcome back to the kitchen and this episode of Dine-N-Wine with Château Camou. We're going to build the sauce for our butternut squash gnocchi. And so let's get started. Water's boiling, got a little bit of salt in it. Today we're just going to do 2 orders. So I've taken 20 pieces of gnocchi, approx per person. And we're going to toss it into the water. I will start. So we'll fire up the stove. Start us off. I've got for 2 orders, I've got approximately 2 tablespoons of butter, whole butter. So we'll get that melted. Now we can use either shallots, or if you don't have shallots, and today I don't, I'm going to use a little garlic and a little white onion. Start with a tablespoon of white onion and a tablespoon of chopped garlic. As soon as that butter is ready to go. And while we're waiting, we'll enjoy a little bit more of our Umbral white blend of Chardonnay and Chenin Blanc. So some of the other ingredients, we're going to have a little bit of lemon zest, fresh chopped sage, a little bit of habanero chili. If you want it more spicy, add a little bit more. If you don't like the heat, you can omit it completely and the sauce is still delicious and it should still work very well with this wine. Of course, if you don't want to go through all the hassle of making gnocchis, this will be on the menu this year at Habanero, so coming down. And we've got a similar dish at Don Sanchez with a sweet potato gnocchi. If you've noticed, I've changed the word for butternut squash and sweet potato a couple times, and that's why. This is a new version of an old dish. So, get a little bit more onion. Garlic. Get that going. Same time, we're watching our gnocchis. They're just starting to float. I'm going to give them a tiny bit more to make sure that they're all floating and fully cooked. I'm going to throw my habaneros. We like it spicy, so I'm leaving the seeds and everything in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 9 pieces for the 2 of us. Make sure you have good ventilation when you're doing this because the chili does pop up. Okay, throw a little bit of the lemon zest in. I'm going to do approximately a teaspoon. Or both, and approximately a couple tablespoons of our fresh sage. Those are infusing. We're good with our gnocchi. And I have a strainer here. Okay, our garlic's starting to brown a tiny bit, so we're good to the point. Approximately half a cup of your same wine. find it's always best to use a decent wine when you're cooking. And again, of course, if you're cooking with wine, I recommend you use the same wine. So we're gonna let that deglaze a little bit, simmer down, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna cream it out. So a hint of lemon juice. I don't think these habaneros are that spicy, so. Okay. So whipping cream, approximately a cup of whipping cream for your 2 orders. If it gets a little bit too thick, you can add a tiny bit of milk. Now we're going to start cracking some pepper into it. And I'll throw the pepper maker over here for garnish as well. Add some salt. Any salt will bring that up to simmer. Quickly check the salt level. About the right consistency. Put a tiny bit more sage in. And gnocchis into the sauce. Finish it with a little Parmesan cheese right into the sauce. Maybe a 1/4 cup, tiny bit more. We'll save a little bit to garnish with. I'll just test it. Serve it. Beautiful. We're good to go. So we'll come over to the plates here and let's serve this gnocchi up. I'll invite my fiance down to join me. Try and save a few of the habaneros for the end, just so you can see them on the top. Okay, so I got a little extra sauce here. Make sure it's nice and sauced. And get some of that extra sage on the top. A couple of those habaneros. And here we have a beautiful lunch. Finish off with a little Parmesan cheese. Earlier on I fried a little sage, so we have some fresh fried sage leaves. Make that sage pop a little bit, contrast the color a tiny bit, and a little cracked pepper. And enjoy. So here we have our butternut squash gnocchis with habanero and fresh sage, paired with our Château Camou, Umbral, white blend, Chardonnay, and Chenin Blanc. I'd like to thank both Chenin Blanc for being with us here today and Baja Traveler for setting all this up. And enjoy. I'm going to rate now.